Hello, everyone. So, just to start off, I'd like to thank everybody who's been wishing me well to get better. Last Sunday, things took a turn for the worse, and I ended up on Wednesday just finally saying, that's it, I'm done, and going to the doctor. I was given antibiotics. I have bronchitis. Well, bronchitis can be a lot of things, but it's here. And he gave me antibiotics, and I am feeling so much better. I have been dealing with where around 4 o'clock every day, I just don't want to do anything else, and I end up going to bed extremely early, and then waking up the next day, like it has just been, it's been like a nightmare. So it's nice. I've had more energy. I'm actually staying up to my normal hour to go to bed, and so it means that I can start getting back into after work trying to record again, which I have been putting off because I just feel like absolute dirt every night. So it's good to be back. It's good to be back. I'll say that. So today, this one actually comes from a Facebook post where someone was asking about the mono to stereo assignment track, and then people, of course, chime in, and people give false information. This is what they believe. So I thought, you know what? I'm just gonna do a whole segment on it and break these myths that are there. So I pulled up. I don't think this was the actual finished recording, but I picked up "Fred is Dead." I think it's an earlier version that I had recorded myself. And I do use the stereo. I do use the stereo mono switch. Now, first off, it can only be done on a DP32. It is not on the Model 24, which honestly is not a big deal because really, when you work it out, the Model 24 has 32 mono tracks and 6 stereo tracks. So you really, it's not a big deal. Now, they could do a firmware update and add that in there, and then suddenly it will work, but it might be a lot of work to do. I don't know if that means they have to change the back end of the recording stuff and the mixing stuff, but it could be done. Now, whereas the DP32, they set up as 8 mono tracks and 12 stereo, and it's like, why would you make it that way? Because honestly, like, I would rather have more mono tracks because of the way I record than I would stereo. And I think the biggest reason they did that was because of the TASCAM numbering counting system, whereas 12 mono plus 6 stereo equals 24, 8 mono plus 12 stereo equals 32, and honestly what it works out to is you have on the DP24 you have 18 faders, and on the DP32 you have 20. So you have 2 extra faders on the DP32. And the other thing, now, like I said, I would rather have 12 mono and 10 stereo, which would be 32 tracks, but that would be 22 faders. That means there's 2 more faders. That would mean the current setup, the current structure, since the DP24 and 32 are pretty much the same size, would make it like a bigger system, as opposed to like as you know, the model series, they're all much bigger than each other, and even if they want to keep the same amount of faders, so 20 faders being the DP32, 12 mono, 8 stereo, but that would work out to a TASCAM count of tracks as 28. And honestly, if you're purchasing a machine and you're looking at the price difference, and one is set to, one has 24 and the other one has 32, that's a significant difference, and you're like, ooh, that's much bigger, but technically it's not. So that's what I'm getting at here. Okay, so first off, let's look how to switch. So on the DP32, click assign, and as you can see, now you can't switch a current mono track to stereo. You can only switch stereo tracks to mono. That's one. So you can't, if so, like in this case, the 8 mono tracks, you can't change them. They're static. So on here, so as you can see, I have 910 is a mono track, 1112. So what you do to do this, I'm not going to do it because I have stuff on there, and you will, that's the other thing, warning, if you do switch, you will wipe out that track. So, sorry, still working through it. It's getting better though. So I select a stereo track. You have the ST mono button, which in this case is F3. You wouldn't have this on the DP32 or DP24, I mean. So you click it, and then you have the, see, now it's flashing where it says it'll be mono. You have the ability to do it. I don't want to, so I'm just going to hit the stereo mono button again to put it back. Now you can go either way. Like you can, like I can say on 1112, I can go, and I'll see it says, okay, well, and now it's flashing that it will convert it to mono or stereo, and I don't want to, so I'll just switch it back. So that's the biggest thing right there. Well, that's how you do it, and it's nothing difficult. Generally, what I do is I'll do it at the beginning of when I'm recording. Like, well, yeah, that's when you have to do it. So it's not like I'll switch it like halfway through. Oh no, I want it this way. And now the other question was, why would you do this? Well, it depends on how you record. Like, so I'm going to switch over here for a second. It depends on how you record. So if you record a lot of guitar tracks, and you're not doing stereo guitar tracks, then you would record mono. You wouldn't record stereo, you'd record mono, because you're just recording a track, and then you would mix it together. So like generally what I would do, like for rhythm, I would record 2 mono tracks for guitar, and then I put on a stereo track. Now the other reason you do this is if you're doing something like you are recording your drums, if you are recording on stereo tracks, you are now taking up an extra track. And I'm going to show you this. So let's go back for a second here. Let's go back. So this was one of the reasons why I do it, because my drums are recorded on I think it's 3132. I think it's, yeah, I usually record the drums on the end tracks. So 3132. So the stereo one in here in the middle, that's my overheads. So I keep that in stereo. So let's go, and just for fun, I'm going to clear the assignment here, and I'm going to use these stereo tracks that you can see where my cursor is on. I'm going to show you what happens. So we're going to assign tracks to it, but we're only going to assign one track to it. So what happens is it will do the double A's, as you can see. So I've just assigned track A. I'm not doing A, B, just A. So let's go over the next one. So now remember, you have 8. You can record 8 simultaneously. So now we'll do B. So there you go. So I'm recording track B on 1516 in stereo, even though it's mono. So I'll go to, now we'll do C. So now I've used up, now if you think in your brain, I've used up 3 tracks or 3 inputs. I can use a total of 8 inputs. So I can use all the inputs, which is 8, but because I'm doing it this way, so now I have C. Now we'll do D. So 4 inputs on the screen is showing as 8. Now what do you think is going to happen when I try to assign track E onto this one? It worked. Last time it didn't. So E worked. So I'm gonna do something afterwards. So then let's go to F. So it's doing F, and we'll do G, and I have no more mono tracks to work with here. So maybe they fixed this. That would be great, because I remember I did this before and it did not let me do this. Okay, so let's go home. All right, so let's try turning on. So let's try turning on everything. One thing before I start, when you convert a track from stereo to mono, you'll get a little M underneath the track number. So as you can see, there's a little M under 31, 27, 25, 11, and 9. So let's see. So let's start hitting record here. So record. Oh, okay. 1, 2. Oh, that's 3, 4. Now remember, you can record 8 tracks simultaneously. And there you go. And as you can see, I'm trying to do 21, 23. So my theory is still valid. Okay. So good. I was like, shit. I thought I was going to be wrong on this one now. I'd be happy if I was. So what happens is the system, even though you have 8 inputs that you can use simultaneously, and you're allowed to record 8 tracks simultaneously. But if you're doing it on a stereo track, it looks at it as if you've taken up 2 tracks. So every time you record a mono track on a stereo, like you record a single input on a stereo track, you are now cutting down the number of simultaneous tracks that you can record on, which that'll kill the number you can use. Now, if you're doing something like a guitar track and you just don't feel like switching it to mono or to stereo, no big deal. You're recording 1 track. But if you're doing something like where you're doing drums, where every single track is precious because you want to get as much sound from the drum set as possible, then it'll throw in a little issue. Then it'll throw in a little issue for you. So that's why like in my case, I switch the tracks to mono if I know they're going to be mono tracks. Yeah, so that's the other reason to do it. Now, okay, I'm just going to turn off the records and clean the assigns here. So let's go back for a second. I'm just going to clear the assigns. Okay, so all the assignments are clear. Now, another myth was somebody had said, "Oh, well, once you switch it from stereo to mono, you can't pan anymore." Not true. And I will show you this right now. So I need to see where, let's see. So I'm going to just use tracks 9 and 11. I'm going to check something first on them. So let's go track 9. Track 9 is panned all the way left. That'll work. So I'm going to lower everything down. So we're just going to lower them. I'm not going to mute them or anything. So as you can see, it's panned all the way left. So let's go back home. Let's see when it comes in. I don't even know what's recording. There we go. So if you're currently listening through a stereo system, you can tell it's coming through the left speaker. And if I pan it, and now it's coming through the right speaker. So yes, that is not true. Once you've switched a stereo track to a mono track, you have the same functionality as you do with your other mono tracks. There is no difference. It is now just not stereo. It is now just mono. That was a myth, and I don't even know how he figured that out or where that came from. But I'm like, no. And I even replied to him and said, no, you can pan it. So yeah, so I just wanted to tell you that. So that's today's video. Once again, thank you for subscribing. Love y'all, and I will talk to you later. Bye. I've reached the end.